Good morning, everybody. You're live with who am I? With Bubba. How you guys doing today? Kind of a hectic day. Tomorrow I leave. Sorry, got to move the camera a little bit. Tomorrow, I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and head to the airport um, to head to Virginia for some meetings and hopefully to talk to some of the vendors and talk about some of the issues that they've been having on the East Coast. So just already this morning out running around trying to get things caught up. Weather's been very chilly but mild here in the Midwest. And so haven't been overly worried about having too much to leave for the daughter. And for me, it's an up and back trip. We talked about that. I'm literally flying out tomorrow morning, and then I fly back late Saturday afternoon. Just tried to accomplish a couple of business things and get the last of our filming for the year done as far as this industry goes. Yeah, as far as the stuff that we're launching and everything else. So anyway, yeah, already a busy morning. I you can tell when things are you're kind of like your mind's all over the place because you do stupid things like I went to make my coffee this morning and I have no idea what I was thinking. I ground some fresh beans and normally that goes into a press and then put my hot water on it, press it, do everything else. And instead, I poured the grounds directly into my coffee cup and then poured hot water over that and then ran around to start it was like, okay, make coffee, grind the beans, grind. All right, put them in, put water in. Now that should have been into a press, but I did it in my coffee cup and then I said, okay, run out the door to deal with dogs, this, and then come back, grab your coffee, and then head into town so I can do this. Driving, getting going, take my first sip of the coffee, and all I get is a mouth of grounds. And I was just like, okay, what the heck's going on here? And it was pretty funny. I mean, I just literally pulled over and dumped it out and had to hit my local convenience store here in town, a little gas station store, and get more coffee. But this time without the grounds and get them on my teeth. But yeah, so anyway, that's kind of the start of the morning. I've been thinking a little bit more each day about what my hook, what my title is for the show and the kind of things that I'm going to cover. And I'm hoping, since we're launching the new channel and for the outdoor space, and we're really concentrating on doing things different than has been done before. And what I mean by that is, the market, we've been talking about this forever. The market's changing. Vendors are having a hard time. The platforms are having a hard time monetizing. Although there's still growth in the market, we just you have to find better, more clever ways. And AI is here to stay. And the use of AI is going to become more and more just part of the standard, the what you have to know and use in order to get the type of hits that you want in the show. So I've been using a AI generator to come up with some of the names. And yesterday, was my first one. And I've been doing it for about a week now, or maybe 2 weeks, playing with the generator, but I hadn't actually posted one. Now, I have the same 6, 7, 8 people that pop on here on a daily basis, and I appreciate that. Wifey, Farmed On, Missing O. There's a handful of people that come on, and my daughter, and just kind of watch me do my video diary here, and just let me talk. But yesterday I said, okay, I've been playing with this AI for a week or two. get generating these titles and hooks and things like that. So, I typed in what was I going to talk about, and we were going to talk about Pokemon Pocket and things like that. And I said, okay, I'm just going to go with one of those, and I put that in the generator and came up with the title, and then pushed it. And yesterday we had 16 new people pop in and view the show. Now, they only came on, and we saw a couple of them make comments. It's like, are you going to play the game? Are you doing this? Now, the interesting thing about those hooks are, if you're going to use them, that needs to be what the show is about. Now, my show we covered some of that. I cover all kinds of topics. Today, we're going to be covering, who is Harold Daggett, and talking about the strikes a little bit more. And it's interesting because I typed that in and I wasn't sure, if it would really do anything. And most of the people didn't stay more than 5 or 6 seconds, and they lurked and then they left, because my show wasn't about 100% about Pokemon Pocket yesterday. And a couple of them asked a couple of questions, I think 2, and then they left too. Now, if you're going to use these hooks and this AI, you have to make sure that you're willing to cover the information that the hook is a major part of, or in the sub description that you put out there. And these are the other things that we're covering. Now, in the hook, I didn't do that. I did it here on Restream that sends it out, but on the main thing, I didn't do it. But it did show that AI was able to put me out there with it and create enough interest with the hook that we had some people that had never been here before come and check it out. I don't think as many people care about who Harold Daggett is. I probably could have come up with something more sensational. But again, since I'm learning to use these tools, and I don't know why I'm giving air quotes for use or tools, because I am using it and they are tools. I'm not ready to drive a bunch of people in here until I really start perfecting this and figuring out what the hell the show's about. I mean, that's a big piece of it as well. So anyway, I'm glad you're here for the journey. So that was very interesting to me yesterday to see my new statistics based on having that AI hook. I'm going to stop doing air quotes. Maybe I'll start playing air guitar instead. So I think it paid off a little bit. I think it did, kind of work. And then I went into continuing to make phone calls. 2 of our partners got power back. Actually, they don't have electricity back. They got access to fuel. And so we heard from them. One of the other vendors I was concerned about, their warehouse did not get hit. This is in Asheville, North Carolina. So we had one client partner that lost their warehouse and everything. We have another partner that their warehouse got missed. It was high enough up on the hill, but significant wind damage and all the roads around them are washed out. And so while they are not did not lose all their merchandise like the other company did, which is completely wiped out now. There's nothing that exists of that business. The second company said, our building is secure. Most of our merchandise is fine. We have some damage, but we won't be shipping any products or receiving any new merchandise probably for the next 30 to 45 days, because the roads around them are wiped out, and UPS and no one's going in there picking up merchandise. They're not going to be able to ship. Instead, everybody's working on cleanup. Excuse me. And so, that was good. I did get to have about 6 different conversations with people I was concerned about. I'm still waiting for 2 more that I have not heard from. My family's putting together care packages that we can drop off with a couple of groups that are going that direction to help. And good morning. and hopefully they'll get the supplies. We were told very early on, do not mail care packages because they're just not going to get them. But we'll get back into. I have a question about that, and I'll get back into that a little later. But it's interesting. Last week I started talking about the potential of this strike. No one else was talking about it. People I did tell, and I was giving you guys warnings, going, "Hey, you should probably go look at, picking up extra supplies. You should be looking at this and looking at that." I had several people in my Twitter or my X literally send me messages saying, I was crazy and I shouldn't be fear mongering and telling people that this stuff could happen. And I'm like, I'm not telling anybody anything's going to happen. Every AI in the show saying, do your own research, take a look at this, and it's better to be prepared than it is to be reactive, right? That's kind of my philosophy. I'm not saying, hey, there's going to be a big strike and this is going to happen. I'm saying, hey, look, they've been doing this since June. It's coming up to the deadline. No one seems to be moving. And if this happens, here's what the economic impact is going to be. Here's how it's going to affect you. Here's how you're going to go from, a 75-cent banana to a $1.50 banana, right? That's kind of the thing. Coffee, we're looking at coffee, and this is a Trainer Club. I went and stocked up on a ton of it because coffee is something that comes in on a regular basis through those ports, and coffee prices they're always bad, but they're going to be ridiculous. And so I went and bought a bunch, and then I spit it out this morning because I threw it in a coffee cup as opposed to in a press. But anyway, but that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Now, I'm glad everybody is covering this now because I do enough research on a lot of these topics so I understand the business perspective of it and how it could affect my business and the people we work with. And the economy is obviously a big function of who's buying. You need to know what's going on with the economy if you're going to be in the marketing, sales type of business, right? And we are in that sort of business. But now all this research is coming out because every news channel is talking about this strike. Retailers, everybody else is starting to give predictions, and we're only on day 3 of the strike, and it's becoming unheard of. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about is it's the real, what are the real reasons this strike is happening? And is the strike actually affecting any of that? And who is this rebel rouser, the person that's doing it? Harold Daggett. So let's start with Harold. So Harold is the president of the ILA, and Harold has been the president since I think that 2010, 2011, and his job is to grow the I'm sorry. 2 different things. Number one is it cracks me up. For some reason, Siri thinks that I wanted her to record this. And so Siri has just literally typed everything I just said. So their job is to make sure they're always at the negotiation table. They're making sure that both sides are following the rules. et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the longshoremen already make a ton of money. I mean, their base pay is $80K a year for unskilled labor. Now, we'll get into that here on the second half of this, but I mean, I want you to understand $80,000 a year is, if you don't have a high school diploma, if you don't have a college education, but you're able to get into a job, get into this union, everything else, your base pay is $80K per year. Now, and what they're fighting for is a 80% increase in pay and a guarantee in their contract against the automation of the docks. Now, there's a lot of people that are afraid of having things, automation being done in any of their industries. The car industry has had that happen, lots of things, and they talk about how it reduces the number of jobs and everything else. And while, I tend to, I agree and I disagree with the thought process. And what I mean by that is, yes, does it decrease the number of jobs when you automate any sort of industry? The base labor jobs go away, right? I mean, you have 45, 50,000 people over at the dock that are, running those cranes and doing all that stuff and everything else. And if you are unskilled labor, if you are someone that, whether you graduate high school or you don't graduate high school or whatever, and you're going to be worried, right? Or if you're someone closer to retirement, if you're making $120,000 a year pushing buttons and doing that stuff, you're going to be freaking the hell out. But from a 10,000 foot perspective, that most of those industries, like the auto industry, while you might have lost 100,000 jobs when you automated, you're producing another, you're the 30 to 50,000 people get rehired in more skilled jobs. And usually what happens is those efficiencies and that speed to market create more opportunities than the amount of jobs that were lost. Now, the problem is no one wants to look at the bigger picture. If I'm a dock worker and I'm making $80, $90, $100,000 a year to move shipping containers, I'm going to be pissed if some machine's going to take over me and I've got to go learn something again. Human nature, no one likes progress. Everybody wants things. Okay. Now, in my head, if that's the case, there's got to be some quid pro quo. And what I mean by that is that if you want a guarantee of lack of automation, then you need to take a pay cut. Why would I pay you 80% more and be less efficient? Be honest, people. It's like, human labor is less efficient than automated labor, right? Automated labor doesn't call in sick. Automated labor doesn't have babies. Automated labor, doesn't get hurt on the job. Automated labor works at a steady pace. It doesn't need to take lunch breaks. It's efficient. Efficiency equals better profits. Efficiency equals faster speed to market. So now, I'm not saying that every industry should be automated. I'm just saying that you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, don't automate to make more money and be more profitable. We want to keep our jobs. Oh, by the way, I want you to pay 80% more on a job that's already vastly overpaid for an unskilled labor position. Now, to me, that's akin to, McDonald's or food workers saying, McDonald's has been trying to automate, other businesses have been trying to automate. And it's like, oh, we want you to pay us $30, $40 an hour to do a burger, to flip a burger. And it's kind of like, okay, that can't roll downhill, right? And that's the same thing with these dock workers. It's these costs aren't being picked up by these companies. It's being picked up by the retailers, which means it's being picked up by you, the consumer. Because when you get a price at a retail store, that is the price that they put in there is the landed price plus what they want to make in profit. Now, they're not going to cut their profit margins to make up for the amount that they have to spend on shipping to get the landed cost. It just means that the price is going to go up. And the prices are already so high on some products. And this is the vicious circle we get in. So, when I look at someone like Harold, and the next thing is, unions used to have a place, and in all movies, unions are supposedly known mafia havens. People always wonder when they see someone like Harold Daggett, if they're affiliated, an associate in some sort of organized crime, and some organized crime organization. And I guess crime organization, I'll say organized twice. And Daggett's from Queens, New York. The Justice Department, and again, I'm gonna start using allegedly. Allegedly, the Justice Department has had him under observation, and has made statements that that he made statements that he is under observation and has known associations with. I don't want to. Yeah, I was going to say the crime family name, but potentially within some criminal circles. Now, I do believe that the mafia has always been heavily involved in unionization. It is a great scam / business. I'm sorry. The thought process here is, it doesn't make a difference if this is mafia run or not. Gambling used to be mafia run, all these different things. And my phone's doing it again. That's not what's driving this. What in my head, what's driving this is purely greed, right? It's like, an 80% increase for anybody would be outrageous. But for dock workers, and the big thing is, Daggett, like a lot of these union guys, is a big blowhard and a bully, right? It's like he's out there, and I put it in the picture, waving the American flag. This is pro-American. This is this bullshit. An American wouldn't screw in another American in order to make, in a wildly outproportioned salary for unskilled labor. And I keep saying that. I'm not saying everybody there is unskilled. I mean, when I say unskilled labor, I just mean you didn't have to go to a trade school. You didn't put time in to do it. These people have skills. I mean, they're obviously working, and they're probably very hardworking people. But, the second thing I move into, and I said I was going to do this, I'm going to kind of move away from Harold Daggett and, the idiot and blowhard that he is, kind of into what he's doing. So I did some research to look at the, what the other unionized businesses are paying for starting wages for their unions. Now, dock workers, they're being paid $80,000 a year, and they want an 80% increase, which brings them up to $150,000 starting per year, and that's without overtime. And A lot of them are making 100,000 plus now, but this would make some of these guys $200,000 a year with a marginal amount of overtime. Okay. For a dock worker. Now, I would say dock workers are essential workers now, but if you automated that yard, you could get the same amount of work done significantly less expensively. Okay. You compare that to a mechanic. So an auto mechanic, and some people will say, well, that would be unskilled labor. Not if you're unionized. Most automotive mechanics have to go through certifications and classes for individual car manufacturers and get their certifications, and they're usually hanging up on the wall. I know multiple mechanics, and it is not cheap to be a mechanic nowadays. Right. And that's not saying your mom and pop mechanic, they're not unionized. This isn't all mechanics. We're talking about a unionized automotive mechanic, means they probably work for a dealership, and they are and everything else. So yeah, they're making $65,000 a year as a starting pay. Okay, so here again, dock worker currently 80,000, going up, asking to go up to 120,000, and you got automotive mechanics that are starting at 65K. All right, iron workers. Okay, iron workers are the backbone. Iron workers, steel workers are the backbone of America. Almost everything we do, infrastructure, things like that, uses rebar, uses steel, uses iron. It's the Iron Workers Union, $60,000 a year to start. Now, that would also be unskilled labor for the most part. But again, 60,000 is more reasonable, in my opinion. That's kind of the medium across America. Now, I'm not saying people, you should look at cost of living in the area, things like that. But I think that iron workers and dock workers, or the longshoremen, they are kind of a direct parallel with each other. And the Iron Workers Union, which is Iron Workers, Steel Workers, their average per year is $60,000. Okay, let's get into someone that that you have, and this is different than your freelance people. These are union people. So carpenters, the Carpenters Union, the starting wage in the Carpenters Union is $55,000 a year. Now, these are people who build your homes and do things, and that, again, in order to be a carpenter, you have to go get licensed. Right? There is training and licensing. That, again, that's not that your next door neighbor John, who is a contractor, or works as a contractor underneath someone who has a license. That could be unskilled labor. There's lots of contractors that are considered unskilled labor because they haven't gone and gotten their license, and the license testing and things like that. But I'm talking about these are union carpenters. They're at $54,000 a year. Here's one of the ones that bothers me so much. Firefighters, the Firefighters Union. These are first responders who risk their lives. Right now, there's a ton of them out in North Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, rescuing people and doing things. And the average firefighter nationwide is only making $46,000 a year. That's the union scale, $46K a year to start. Now, I know a lot of firefighters that make a ton more money than that because a lot of them get overtime. But their overtime's putting them at $90,000 to $100,000 a year. The dock workers are asking to start at $120,000 a year. Okay, That blows my mind. Electricians. Now, I have a hard time here in Iowa finding an electrician because no one wants to be an electrician anymore. Why? Because starting union wage is $53,000 a year. Right? Now, they get a lot of them get hired at much higher rates, and again, lots of overtime for electricians because electricians and plumbers, and I think I get into plumbers, yeah. So now plumbers were harder to find electricians. The national average for plumbers is 75,000 a year. Okay, again, skilled job, right? Plumbers have to get certifications, do things. You're crawling around in that dirt and shit and everything else. I have no problem with a plumber making 75K a year, or hell, an electrician making 75K a year, but they're only making 53. A dock worker making 80 now, making a dock worker, again, unskilled labor, already making more than the national average of plumbers, electricians, and firefighters. All right. School teachers, 48 grand a year on a national average. These are the people who are supposedly teaching your kids. Now, no one wants to be a teacher anymore or teach. Why? Because the unskilled labor, they don't have to teach anybody because at the end, if people can't speak English, write English, do anything, they don't know any of the basics, they can go get a job as a dock worker and make 80 to 120 grand a year. Why get an education if the unions can keep pushing up the scale of unskilled labor to that level? I mean, that worries me about the trends of America. It used to be that towns would entice school teachers to come and teach their children by offering them their housing and their food and a salary and bonuses because you wanted to encourage the best person to come to your town. Now, even unionized, they're making less than 50 grand a year nationwide on average. But that same male or female teacher can go to any dock and make 80,000 plus a year, and they want them to be able to make $120,000 a year. That's backwards. Police officers, 59,000 a year. Again, a dock worker is making more than a starting police officer. A starting dock worker is making more than a starting police officer. So here's one that startled me and scared me. A nuclear power plant / reactor operator. The people who go and manage the control systems and the safety systems of our nuclear power plant and reactor grid are unionized. They're part of the electric union. Only make $75,000 a year starting through the union. A unskilled dock worker who literally goes and moves freight around and does things like that makes more of a starting wage than the people who are running the control panels for your power grid and your nuclear reactors. Harold Daggett, someone should tie you up in chains and throw you off that dock. You're saying that these people need to keep up with their cost of livings and everything else, but our firemen, our police officers, our teachers, and the people who are running our nuclear control panels don't make as much as the starting wage for a dock worker. Okay, I'm hoping that what I'm doing right now will trend. It won't trend on here, but someone will see it, something will happen, and it'll start getting picked up in the news because everybody's worried about, and rightly so. They're worried about how this is going to affect our economy. that's a short view, right? I mean, I'm the one that started that. I mean, I'm not going to say I started it, but I started covering that a while ago and saying how important it was to watch this stuff, how it affects the economy, the long range of the economy, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, my job in my head is then to delve a little bit deeper and say what other ways does what is happening affect everything? This is a long-term effect in two ways. Number one, if Mr. Daggett wins by strong arming everybody into giving him an 80% increase, and I think it's 88, but I'm going to say 80 because I forgot what he was asking for already. They get that increase. Every other one of these unions is going to want to attempt the same thing. Now, while I do believe in fair wages for fair work, and I do think that I think some of these people should be making the 80,000 plus a year. Our economy is not set in such a way that all these unions can go up 80%. It would bury the American economic system. Our inflation, everything would cost so much money that it would put us into a full-on recession, if not a depression. It can't happen. People. Holy crap. It would just be horrible. But let me keep going. So, nurses, national average salary. Now, I have most of my family on my wife's side are all in the nursing business. My daughter is now going to school for nursing. And again, to me, this is a first responder sort of thing, right? So nurses make $71,000 a year in the nursing union on a nationwide average. Again, a nurse, a school teacher, a fireman, the people running our nuclear grid, all those people are making less than the starting wage of a dock worker, the current starting wage. And then they're asking for 80% more. So a nurse makes 71 on average, and a dock worker, if they got that increase, would be making 120. Yeah, that's ridiculous. So that's a regular nurse. A nurse practitioner is about 73. So I wanted to give you both of those. I already gave you power plant operators. Okay, so here's one last one that I thought was very interesting. So airline pilots are $121,000 a year. Now, airline pilots go through a tremendous amount of training and flight hours and personal cost to try to become a pilot of a major airline. And their base pay on a national average is $121,000 a year in salary. So one more time for perspective is a dock worker is asking with their 80% pay bump to be considered the same skill level and have the same prioritization as an airline pilot who has studied for years and I would call extreme skilled labor. Now, I still think it's upside down that even a pilot is making more than a police officer, fireman, nurse practitioner, power plant / nuclear power plant / power plant operator, the people who handle our safety protocols. Those people should be making 100,000 plus because all of those, they're first responders, and there's a tremendous amount of not only training, but continued training that goes as part of that. If I were to go down a step, I would say, I understand and I am okay with pilots making that much money. It comes from me. You pay for that in the price of your tickets. And I don't think that they're so outrageous right now that, I think it's horrible, but I I just do not understand how Mr. Daggett, Harold Daggett, mafia, alleged mafia, associated president of the ILA can justify in his head an 80% increase in the union when our electricians, our plumbers, our contractors, and our iron workers, which I would consider, in the same vein. I actually would put them above the dock workers, and then our nurses, our firefighters, our police officers, the people running our power grids, are how they believe that they're justified to make more than those other organizations. I don't know. Anybody? I mean, everybody's been pretty quiet. I've definitely been on a rant. But I just I look at all the buzz that's going on about this right now, and no one's really jumping on the taking it from an angle of, okay, not only is just the 80% outrageous, let's look at it in the overall landscape of comparative landscape of other unions, let alone the private sector, right? And then you go downstream and saying, how is this going to affect our economy and everything long term? Because of the other unions can't stay stagnant, and every one of them has or can hold us hostage, like Mr. Daggett is doing. Right? I mean, the police could walk off, firemen could walk off, nurses can walk off, and they all have. And they're usually looking for a 3%, a 6%, I mean, a reasonable increase. And even with those reasonable increases, guess what? They're still below what a dock worker makes right now. Now, people are going to say you're coming down hard on dock workers. There's 54,000 of them. You could wipe 54,000 people off the earth and start again with zero. You'd fill those positions. If you went out there and said, as an unskilled labor, everybody got fired, everybody's gone, there are no dock workers anymore, you could find 54,000 people to pick up those jobs at $80,000 a year starting without the union, like that. They have a lot of leverage, but a very short period of time leverage. Would it stall America and our economy if this walkout went for a long period of time? 100%. How do you solve that? Is just say bye-bye and put out there that you are hiring at $80,000 a year non-union. Get rid of the freaking union there, because they're the ones causing this problem. And any union dock worker that says we need a better cost of living. Well, when you do what a cop does, a fireman does, a school teacher does, a carpenter does, and everything else, then we can talk about giving you a raise. But you aren't even qualified to do those positions. Why should you make more than those people do? I mean, that's how you restart the economy, right? And you can't buckle to these sorts of pressures. Fire them all, 54,000 of them. The ones that want to work can come back under non-union, and I don't even care if the union stays. But the union right now, they're being unreasonable. And the other thing that I said, pick one. You want to keep your jobs at $80,000 a year, then the other side should guarantee no automation. All 54,000 of you can keep making that overpaid wage now, because we promise we don't want to automate. Or guess what? We're going to pay a certain percentage of you a little more money, but we're slicing the jobs by 70%, And those people can make 120 grand a year, and we're automating the F out of this. You can't stagnate progress and ask for top dollar on top of it. You're just not screwing with that industry, you're screwing with the American economy. You can't support both of those things, and it's not fair. Yeah. My daughter's going to be a nurse, and she's got 3 years worth of school that she's going to and student loans that she's going to pay for to make 71 grand. You're walking off the street with maybe a high school education, and you're making 80 grand to start, and you want 120 grand. Yeah, ridiculous. 100% ridiculous. Makes zero sense. And I'm not for it. I mean, I've been so anti-union for a long time because I don't think they do anything other than bitch and complain now. And yeah, it is what it is. All right, let's talk about one more thing before we open our packs for today. I am going to be opening very quickly 4 packs because there will not be a stream tomorrow. I will be on a plane to Virginia tomorrow morning. And then Saturday, we will Trainer Club and I will try to stream from the car. But if we can't get that working, then we will. I will not be streaming on Saturday either. So we're doing 4 packs today because 2 for today and 2 for tomorrow. I'm trying to stay up with my numbers. The other thing I wanted to talk about: Tropical Storm Kirk. Okay, so if you guys aren't aware, there's another tropical storm that is working its way into the Gulf Stream right now. Hurricane Helene is still, people are still recovering from that, and Kurt is getting ready to start causing damage. Today, the winds as it comes building into the coast were about 105 miles an hour. Saturday, they're predicting landfall, with probably an average wind of about 80 miles an hour. It's supposed to create a lot of storm surge. I don't know exactly what they're predicting on rainfall, but it is coming. It just passed Cuba, and it is coming into the Gulf of Mexico. And it'll hit the west coast of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi. Now, the thing that's dangerous about this one is it's coming from the other side. So with Helene, it came from on the Atlantic on the outside and worked its way up the coast and is hitting everything up this way. And now you have a second tropical storm that's coming into the Gulf Coast and is going to be coming inland and dumping everything this way. And I don't know how much more weather Georgia and the Carolinas can take if this thing has enough steam to push up that high. I am very concerned for the people out there. I am hoping this dissipates very quickly, but there's another storm behind that one. And so this is not ending quickly. I think, and this on top of the dock worker strike and everything else, it's really looking like it's going to be a heavily impacted year as we go into Christmas. I'm hoping that, that they're predicting that this storm is going to grow larger as it moves northward. The warm temperatures creates more humidity, which fuels the storm and creates more rain. And so not looking good, folks. Not looking good. Which leads me into the other topic question I was going to ask you. I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to do these tears really quick so I can end with that other topic. Last night I did get to play with Wifey and with Farm Dawn. WoW a little bit. I really enjoyed it. We finally got together. We got our voice working, and we went back and did a bunch of content. We have to learn to play with each other. Wifey apparently did not get the upgrade. I hope she got it today. And so she'll be able to play a little bit more. She was playing on a free account. Farmed On is definitely picking it up faster and faster. Two of us leveled to 20 yesterday. So that was really cool. So now we can be on flying mounts. Wifey, that's where she maxed out. So we ended for the day. Farmed On is very close behind. So I'm thinking we'll go another week and then we'll start streaming the content as we do dungeons and things like that. So I don't know if any of you guys are going to be interested, but I'm just going to keep practicing for my streaming skills. Wifey is a tremendously nice person. I enjoyed having her in the communication and playing with her last night. Farmed On's an awesome guy. He's an old friend. So if anybody else is interested, you should send me a DM on my Twitter account, and then we can talk about getting you involved if you want, even if it's just you pop in and pop out. I think that's kind of, when I played WoW originally, one of the things I like to do is we had a guild and we had a group that played together fairly regularly, but we always were sending out invites for one-offs. It's like, hey, come join us for this raid. We're looking for 5 or 10 people that just want to kind of join in. And it kind of feels like real life, where depending on, hey, you're doing a pickup basketball game, or we're doing a pickup softball game, come join, and you get people that you don't regularly see joining in and playing. It adds a new dynamic. And I think that's fun. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for here, is maybe getting, some people that will rando in, even at low levels. Just to have people come in. And now that I know, I don't know how it worked with Wifey. I'll have to ask her. But, she did a free account that was, she was able to level up to 20. So even if you don't want to invest money, maybe we could do some level 1 through 20 runs. Anyway, all right. Got a regular card there. We're just going to go through, and see if there's anything I need. Don't need the Eevee. Don't need the Lockx. Don't need the Char. Okay. All these are looking like ones I already have. Glass Trumpet, we have it. First, no, that's not a reverse. No, that's just a regular. Deluxe Bomb. That's a great card. I have it already. So that's just going to be a giveaway. Lantern, have it. And then have it. All right. So those go to giveaway cards. Obviously, I'm still suck at opening these decks, but that's okay. All right. Meryl. Rhydon. Ponyta. Sorry. Grubin. Merlock. Wow. Okay. Nothing new here at all. Mo Rotem, this is the reverse. I already have that one. Electivire, I have that one. Okay. This is a new card. And I'm not even sure if you're seeing what I'm pulling, because I'm not looking at the camera. That's a good looking card. So Cinderace. That one is going in the collection. So this is why the master decks are so hard, because when you get towards the last 30 or 40 you need, you're really grinding it. Don't need it. Don't need it. Don't need it. Don't need it. Oops, I'm doing this way. There we go. Don't need it. Don't need it. Do not need it. We have this one. That's a reverse. Have that one. We had that one yesterday. Reverse. Okay. Nothing new. So 3 decks down, 1 card that's new. Last one. I'm feeling pretty pumped about this one. And I have to go buy new cards because this is the last of my decks, my tear decks. Okay, get rid of that. Here we go. All right, don't need it. 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 Reverse, have it. Reverse, have it. We got it. All right. So, yep. No love today. We got one new card for our collection, which was this Cinderace. Very pretty card. Yeah, I actually like that one. So, guys, thank you guys for joining again. I will not be on tomorrow. So wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining. We will try to be live Saturday, normal time from Virginia. Yeah, you're never sure. Technology. So you guys all have a great day. Have a great weekend. Peace. We'll see you on Saturday. Be good to each other. Yep. And we'll talk soon. Ciao.